Emily Carson had lived in the quiet little suburb of Maple Grove for nearly 5 years. It was the kind of neighborhood where people waved from their porches, lawnmowers hummed on Saturday mornings, and kids rode their bikes freely down the street. Emily loved it here. After a difficult divorce 2 years ago, she had worked hard to rebuild her life, finding comfort in the familiarity of her home and the peaceful routine of her days. She had her teaching job at the elementary school, her evening walks with her golden retriever Daisy, and her small but warm circle of friends. Life felt steady, maybe even a little predictable, and she liked it that way. It was during one of those ordinary afternoons that she first truly spoke to Greg Miller, the husband of her next-door neighbor, Claire. Emily knew Claire casually. They'd exchanged polite hellos at the mailbox or during neighborhood gatherings. Greg, though, was usually away at work or busy doing yard projects. On that day, Emily was struggling to carry a large box from her car. She had just bought a new bookshelf and was determined to get it into the house by herself, but the awkward weight made her wobble. "You look like you could use an extra hand," a friendly voice called out. Emily looked up to see Greg jogging over from his driveway, wearing a plaid flannel shirt and jeans. He had the easy smile of someone who was used to helping people, and before she could even respond, he had taken the box from her arms. "That's heavier than it looks," he said as they stepped onto her porch. Emily laughed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Thank you. I thought I could handle it, but apparently not." "No problem at all," Greg replied. "Claire's making dinner, but I saw you struggling. Couldn't just stand there and watch." That was the first time Emily invited Greg into her home, just to set the box down in the living room, but it was also the beginning of what she thought was a kind neighborly connection. Over the next few weeks, Greg seemed to appear whenever she needed help. He helped trim a stubborn hedge in her yard, replaced a flickering porch light, and even offered to bring in her trash bins when it rained. Emily appreciated his kindness. She also noticed how Claire often wasn't around when Greg stopped by. Sometimes she'd ask about her, and Greg would shrug, saying Claire was busy with work or visiting her sister. At first, Emily didn't think much of it. But then little things began to catch her attention. One evening, after coming home from the grocery store, she noticed her mailbox was wide open and a few letters were scattered on the ground. She brushed it off as the wind until it happened again a week later. Another time, while she was grading papers late at night, she thought she saw a shadow move past her living room window. She told herself it was just her imagination, but the uneasy feeling stuck with her. One Saturday morning, Claire approached Emily while she was watering her flowers. Her smile seemed forced, and there was a hint of hesitation in her voice. "Hey, Emily, has Greg been around here a lot lately?" Emily paused, surprised by the question. "Well, he's helped me out a few times." "Why?" Claire looked away, fiddling with the sleeve of her sweater. "Just, if he ever makes you uncomfortable, please tell me." And with that, she quickly excused herself and went back inside. Emily stood there for a long moment, puzzled. That afternoon, Greg showed up again, offering to fix a squeaky hinge on her gate. She noticed how he avoided mentioning Claire entirely, instead steering the conversation toward Emily's life, her job, her hobbies, even asking about her family. Something in his tone felt just slightly too personal. The unease grew over the next week. One rainy evening, Daisy began barking at the front door. Emily peeked through the curtain and saw a figure standing just beyond the glow of the porch light. When she opened the door a crack, she saw Greg, drenched from the rain. "Hey," he said casually. "I was just walking by and thought I'd check in." Emily's grip tightened on the door. "Greg, it's late. Maybe tomorrow would be better." For a moment, he didn't move. Then he smiled faintly and nodded. "Sure. Just wanted to say hi." He walked away, disappearing into the rain. That night, Emily decided she needed to trust her instincts. She called her friend Marissa, who worked at the local police department, and explained what had been happening. Marissa listened carefully, then suggested Emily file a report, just so there would be a record. 2 days later, a friendly officer named Daniel stopped by. He was professional and kind, listening to Emily's concerns and asking questions. "We're not saying anything's definitely wrong," he explained, "but it's better to be cautious." The officer's visit seemed to have an effect. Greg didn't stop by for a while after that. Emily began to relax again, focusing on her work and enjoying quiet evenings with Daisy. Weeks later, Claire came over, holding a small potted plant as a gift. She smiled genuinely this time. "Thank you for being patient," she said softly. "Greg's been going through some things, and, well, we're working on it. I just wanted you to know he won't be bothering you anymore." Emily accepted the plant with a polite smile. She didn't ask for details, she didn't need them. She had learned an important lesson: no matter how kind someone seems, it's okay to set boundaries and protect your peace. From then on, her home felt like her safe haven again. The flowers in her yard bloomed brighter that spring, and her walks with Daisy were once again filled with nothing but the sound of birdsong and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. And every time she passed her gate, the one Greg had fixed, she thought of it not as a reminder of him, but as a symbol of her ability to stand her ground when it mattered most. If you want, I can now expand this into the full 5,000-word detailed version with more character depth, added neighborhood scenes, and extended tension moments so it perfectly fits YouTube's long storytelling style. Do you want me to go ahead and make that full-length version?